Thank you so much for coming out. It's going to be another beautiful night of music here. And my name is Don Richmond. I'm one of the board members, and just want to make a few announcements about some upcoming shows and events. Next Saturday, it is July 15th, there's a couple things going on. That evening we're having a wonderful Nashville singer-songwriter named Buddy Mondlock, who's written songs for Garth Brooks, and they say he's the songwriter's songwriter or something. Like all these fabulous songwriters record Buddy Mondlock songs, like Janis Ian, and I can't remember who else, but there's a long list of them. Should be a great night. But earlier that day, there's going to be a memorial service here for our former board member and dear friend, Pete McGee. And that's, Ruthie, is that 10:30? I've heard 3 different times, but it's 10:30. I'm saying that so I will remember. And everybody's welcome. You know, there'll be a few people sharing some thoughts, I'm sure, and a few songs, and there's going to be food and music outside afterwards. Is that right? And so if you remember Pete, his ghost is hanging out at that concession stand right there. I can almost see him plying me with red wine. Anyway, we miss Pete tremendously. He had retired from the board at the beginning of the year, but then he passed away unexpectedly just, I don't know, a month and a half ago or something like that. And it was just total shock. Anyway, July 15th, both those things going on. July 20th, one of my favorite songwriters in the world, Austin, Texas guy named Walt Wilkins is going to be here. Those of you who have seen the Red River Songwriter lineup of all those great songwriters that usually come here in January, Walt is one of that crew, and he's played here one other time too. Just, boy, as good as it gets for his songs, and he's a great performer and a great guy. And we have something that just came up recently that is really going to be a cool treat. There's a young gal named Myrna Lewis. She grew up here in the valley. Her name was Myrna Hirsink then, and she is the niece of Betty Friel, who was this kind of iconic fiddler and teacher of fiddlers here in the valley that had this. She was a whole movement in herself. I mean, she had so many fiddle students and everything, and played with other members of her family, and Myrna's mom, Bobby, in various ensembles like the Bow and String Band. But anyway, Myrna has been, I don't know how long it's been, at least 10 years, I think, probably 10 or 15 years. She's been living in Nashville, Tennessee, working her tail off, playing. She plays like 8 gigs a week. I mean, it's amazing. She's really extremely accomplished. And she and 3 other women from Nashville have formed this sort of cowgirl band called Gone with the West. And they're coming through the area, and it's going to be a Wednesday night, so it's going to be kind of a different night. And also Walt Wilkins, his night is a Thursday, so just want to alert you to that. Anyway, Myrna Lewis and Gone with the West, July 26th, Wednesday, July 26th. So that'll be a great one. Acoustic Eidolon, they played here last year. Fabulous harp and guitar, just beautiful. August 11th, a couple of Austin songwriters, Adam and Chris Carroll. They have a rabid following down there. August 24th, Eliza Gilkison. I'll be accompanying her. Anyway, there's so much great stuff coming up, but it's time for me to shut up and get out of here, because tonight we have really just a superb musician, guitarist, songwriter, vocalist. She's amazing. I mean, she's been playing lead guitar with Michael Martin Murphey's band, and those are some pretty big shoes to fill. the previous lead guitarist for Murphy that I remember anyway was a guy named Pat Flynn, a Nashville guy that was one of those legendary guitar players. But this gal's doing just fine filling those shoes, and yeah, I'm so looking forward to hearing her all by herself, just doing her thing. So, would you please welcome Carin Mari?
Oh, thank you very much. I will say I worked with Pat quite a few times over the years, and he taught me a lick or two, gave me a leg up. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being here tonight. I absolutely love coming to play at Society Hall. I don't even know how many years it's been, but I just get excited every time I send them an email and they say, yes, you can come back. So thank you, Dawn, Ruthie, everybody here at the Hall, Robert, and Brian for all that you do. I sure appreciate it. And out of curiosity, how many of you are seeing me for the very first time tonight? Oh, a lot of you. I scared away the other audience. But that's good news for me because all my stories and jokes will be funny again. But just to tell you a little bit more about myself, I fell in love with music at a very young age. I started playing cowboy songs when I was about 9 years old, and at the ripe old age of 12, I decided it was time for a career change and not just to be a cover artist anymore. I decided that I needed to be a songwriter, and I learned very quickly that at 12 years old, you have absolutely nothing to write about. And so it proved to be a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be. But I soon got some advice, and that was to stop trying to write hit songs because it just won't happen that way. Simply write songs from your heart and write things that you know. And once I heard that, I thought, well, I could do that. And so I wrote my first song. It was called Old Log Barn, which was about the barn that my dad built when we first moved up to Buena Vista. And after that, I thought, well, this is going to be, the hit song that comes next. And I don't know how many years later this is, but I'm still waiting on that hit song. But I do try to write a little bit of everything just to keep my shows diverse. And this is a little love song that I put together a few years ago, and I didn't have a whole lot of experience to draw from, but I started thinking about love and what I think it should be like, and I realized that it should feel like coming home because that's where I feel the most loved. And the rest of it I pretty much just made up. Well, hey, darling, what's your name? You're like the mountain air and I like the change you gave to me on a summer breeze. I know you don't know me, but I think we're meant to be. Well, hey, darling, let's take a walk down by the river. We can stop and talk about how you and I could be. It seems like a long shot, but worth the long journey. Take my hand and start our dance across this narrow road of chance. Who really knows what will be, will be. You're already home to me. Well, hey, darling, don't be shy. I'll never hang you on the line to try. 'Cause you and I, we're made to be strong. And if you're ever weak, I will carry you along. Well, hey, darling, I'll be yours. You make me want to live and be more. Just make my heart laugh and make me smile. I will be your girl forever and a little while. Take my hand and start our dance across this narrow road of chance. Who really knows what will be, will be. You're already home to me. Well, hey, darling, together let's go. Get lost down a dirt road to us paved in gold. One step, one breath, one day at a time. As long as I am yours, honey, you will always be mine. Take my hand and start our dance across this narrow road of chance. Who really knows what will be, will be. You're already home to me. Already home to me. Already home to me. thank you so much. So just so you have a kind of a roadmap of what's going on tonight, I'll play a first set and let everybody get up and stretch your legs and get a drink or a snack, because I know we all love snacks. Stretch your legs, and I'll play another little set, and it's going to be a mixture of mostly original music, because I just love to write songs, but I know it's really nice to hear something you know every once in a while, so I'll be sure to do that for you. This is one of my favorite cover songs to sing. There's a young man that I know whose age is 21. He comes from down in southern Colorado, just out of the service. He's looking for his fun someday soon. I'm going with him someday soon. And my parents cannot stand him 'cause he rides the rodeo. My father says that he believed me crying, but I would follow him right down the roughest road I know. Someday soon, I'm going with him someday soon. When he comes to go, my boy got a good word to say. I guess it's 'cause he was just as wild his younger days. But you older northern, blow my love to me. He's driving in tonight from California. He loves his Dayton rodeo as much as he loves me. Someday soon, I'm going with him someday soon. And when he comes to go, my boy got a good word to say. I guess it's 'cause he was just as wild his younger days. But look, you older northern, blow my love to me. He's driving in tonight from California. He loves his Dayton rodeo as much as he loves me. Someday soon, I'm going with him someday soon. Oh, someday soon, I'm going with him someday Well, thank you so much. You are such a great audience tonight already. So as I mentioned, I've been writing songs since I was 12 years old, and as you can imagine, the older you get in your own lives, things change, and so my writing style has definitely grown and it's changed in good ways, I like to think, and so I had a lot of spare time on my hands and a lot of time to think back in 2020, since we were all stuck at home. And so I wrote a series of songs that I like to call the Quarantunes. And I realized that I had a little too much time to think. And I wrote some interesting songs, but I reflected a lot on my career and all the things that I've done. And every so often people come up and they just say things to you that you wouldn't expect. And my favorite which I've gotten more times than I care to count, is that people will come up and they meet me and they say, you know, you're absolutely nothing like we thought you would be. And I've just never really known how to take that. And so I thought, well, maybe I should write a song about that, because how many times have we done that? I know I've done it a few times, where you just kind of make up your mind about something or someone and realize you probably shouldn't do that. Thank you. So I've got a bad songwriting habit of writing really sad songs, so I always try to keep that limited, only because I've had people come up and they really do, I think, get concerned about my well-being, and they'll start trying to introduce me to their sons and nephews and best friends' kids, and things are very creative. And so I've been trying very hard to write some happy songs to appease those folks and be like, I really am okay. And this year has not gotten any better, though. I think I've gone backwards, because both of my brothers recently got married. So naturally now everybody wants to know when I'm going to get married, and I usually say, well, I did just get another dog. So that's commitment, you know? All things happen in time, but I was inspired to write this, I guess it was last year. And don't feel sorry for me. I did find a good person, a good guy. So don't go thinking that I need to be set up tonight, please. But One of our first dates was in the summer when it was super hot, and I convinced him to go on a little shed hunt with me, which took a lot because he's not a hiker. But as soon as we found our first antler, he became a hiker. And so that became one of our favorite hobbies and favorite date days. And so I got the first line of this song from one of those dates, and then one of my good childhood friends was getting married, and so I was able to finish this song for her wedding. So this is for anybody that's in love, who found the right person that's helped them be comfortable with exactly who they are. Come take a walk in the woods with me. Who knows what we'll find? Who knows what we'll see? I know your past has been covered in tears, but trust me, darling, I'll handle your fears. And I love you like fresh morning rain. Take away all the pain from the broken wings. Carry with me. You lift me up like a bird to set free. Come take a walk down the road with me. Promise I'll keep you safe as can be. It's hard to know where this life will lead, but I said forever, a promise I'll keep. And I love you like fresh morning rain. Take away all the pain from the broken wings. Carry with me. Lift me up like a bird to set free. You make my heart stop for a breath. You lift me up when there's nothing left. I love you like fresh morning rain. Take away all the pain from the broken wings. Carry with me. You lift me up like a bird to set free. And you lift me up like a bird to set free. Thank you so much. But that's enough of the love songs. We'll move on to something a little less happy. I can only have so much in one night. I do write a lot of songs when I travel, as you can imagine. I spend a lot of hours and many miles alone. It wasn't always that way. For many years, I got to travel with my family, my brothers and my parents. And we had a little family band, and we would travel across the states playing cowboy festivals and different shows. And we had so much fun, and then we all realized that we wanted to get an education. And so my older brother went off to college, and then I went off to college, and it turns out it is very difficult to get 3 people in different states to one state to play a show. And so therefore I started my solo career and the trips alone. Although today I'm not alone, my parents did a little ride along with me, which is wonderful because I never get to have company. So if you don't like what you hear tonight, you can have a talk with them. This is their fault. But I was driving to Bridgeport, California, about this time last year, and I'm headed there again in a couple weeks. And I don't exactly remember what was on my mind or what the problem was, but I knew I needed to just keep driving to fix this problem. So lucky for me, it was a 15-hour trip and lots of time to think. And by the time I got there, I had finished this song, and I realized that that's how I solve most of my problems, is sitting in a vehicle, talking to myself, writing notes, and sometimes that's all I need. And I've learned that if you don't solve the problem, you just keep driving for a little while longer. Well, I've been traveling so long, sometimes I lose my way. Mile after mile, in a little while, it all starts to look the same. But the black times and the darker out west, lighter are the white lines. Sometimes I get ahead and leave with less, but all I can do is drive. Well, all I can do is drive. Been up and down this old road too many times to count. Turning left and looking right, too late to turn around. But the black times and the darker out west, lighter are the white lines. Sometimes I get ahead and leave with less, but all I can do is drive. Well, all I can do is drive. And I've been broke down along the way in an unfamiliar place, with nothing to do but wait for you and hope it's a friendly face. But the black times and the darker out west, lighter are the white lines. Sometimes I get ahead and leave with less, but all I can do is drive. Try to make sense of all the things, try to catch the bird with the bigger wings. Try to hold on to the little string, holding us together, the road and me. The black times and the darker out west, lighter are the white lines. Sometimes I get ahead and leave with less, but all I can do is drive. Well, all I can do is drive. Well, I've been traveling so long, sometimes I lose my way. Mile after mile, in a little while, it all starts to look the same. Thank you. So it's kind of an unwritten law, I think, if you're going to be a country music artist, that not only do you have to write sad songs, but you do have to play at least one in your show. And I promise I won't make you depressed. I'm just going to play one sad song. And this came about also during COVID. And I went into the pandemic dating a person, and a few months in, I realized that he wasn't quite the right one, that we had been great friends, and then I didn't see a future, and so like a genius, I broke up with the guy, only to realize that there was absolutely no way to meet anybody new during a pandemic. And I thought just for a brief moment that maybe I could make it work because we had known each other since we were kids and really is a great person, a great guy. And then I started thinking about it a little more and realized that maybe I should just write a song and move on. Poor guy. Thank you very much. Hope you know that you're applauding for my heartbreak, but that's just fine. So, as I mentioned, I had way too much time to think, and I was very fortunate to grow up in a home that my parents were so supportive, and anything that my brothers and I got interested in, they helped us to get where we wanted to be with that dream. My older brother's an audio engineer, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without my parents, because when I go on my big road trips, and I'm gone for a week straight, they get to watch the grand dogs, as they call them. And I don't leave them with just anybody, and so I know they're safe, and I tend to listen to what they say because they've lived pretty rich lives and have done very well. And so when my parents advised me at a very young age, and now even, the importance of kindness, I take that to heart, and I thought a lot about that over the stay-at-home ordeal, because to me it is important, and the world needs more kindness and just being nice to people, and I've always valued that, and I take that with me everywhere I go. But with as much as I travel and as many people as I meet, I have learned that not everybody's parents taught their kids that. And I thought, well, that sounds like a good country song to me. What you gonna do with yourself when there's nobody else to come and hold your hand when you're crying? What you gonna do when you know you're out here on your own? Guess you'll be sleeping in your big bed of light. Oh, look at you, boy, look at you. Turns out you get loose, and now you're out of people you can use. You're in a tight spot now, and there's no getting out, 'cause you built yourself a bridge and then you burned it down. What you gonna do in this town when word gets around that you're not worth the stones that you throw? What you gonna do when the boot comes down and kicks you on the ground? Well, you're not used to the bottom, but you live there now. Oh, look at you, boy, look at you. Turns out you get loose, and now you're out of people you can use. You're in a tight spot now, and there's no getting out, 'cause you built yourself a bridge and then you burned it down. Well, don't you know there are people talking, we can see just what you're not. Do you care you set a fire on every path you have crossed? Look at you, boy, look at you. Turns out you get loose, and now you're out of people you can use. You're in a tight spot now, and there's no getting out, 'cause you built yourself a bridge and then you burned it down. Oh, you built yourself a bridge and then you burned it down. Thank you. So I've grown up around some pretty incredible songwriters, and I blame them for my love of songwriting. Because it's one thing to get up here and sing other people's music, but it's another thing to take a little piece of your heart and put it on paper. And I've gotten to learn from some of the very best, and only can hope that someday I can write half a song that they do. But I got to meet Ian Tyson many, many years ago, and if you followed his music, you know that he passed away last year. And it was a great loss to the Western music community, and I guess every music community. And so I've always loved this song, and there's been so many different versions out there, and I decided it was finally time to do my own, even though it's not really a girl song as they call it. It's a great story song. Well, it's was up on whiskey toast, home fries on the side. You wash it down with the truck stop coffee that burns up your insides. Was a Canyon, Colorado diner, little waitress I didn't love. Well, we sat in the back near the old stuffed bear and a worn-out Navajo rug. Well, old Jack, the boss, and closed at 6, and Miss Katie barred the door. She pulled down that Navajo rug and spread it on the floor, and I saw lightning in the sacred mountains, saw the dance of the turtle doves, as I was lying next to Katie on that old Navajo rug. Katie, shades of red and blue. Whatever became of the Navajo rug and you, Katie. Well, I saw old Jack about a year ago, said the place burned to the ground, and all he'd saved was an old bear too. Katie, she left town. Oh, but Katie, she got her a souvenir too. Jack's fat tobacco bud. Said you should have seen her running through the smoke on that Navajo rug. Katie, shades of red and blue. Katie, whatever became of the Navajo rug and you, Katie. So now every time I cross the sacred mountains and lightning breaks above, it always takes me back in time to my long lost Katie love. Oh, but everything keeps a moving and everybody's on the go. Well, you don't find things that last anymore, like a double woman Navajo. Katie, shades of red and blue. Katie, whatever became of the Navajo rug and you, Katie, shades of red and blue. Katie, whatever became of the Navajo rug and you, Katie. Thank you very much. So for many years, as I mentioned, I traveled with my family, and then I started my own career. And so with that came a smaller vehicle. It was my first car because I no longer needed the big family conversion van with the television and the bed. It just wasn't necessary for me to drive it around the country, and so I bought a 2000 Dodge Durango. And I was so excited about this because I realized this was my key to freedom on the road. I could go anywhere that the wheels would take me. And so I just about drove the wheels off of it. I retired it, I guess it was the end of 2019, because 2020 was set to be a really big year for me. I had all these gigs and all these great things. And so I realized it was okay for me to retire the Durango and buy a new vehicle that didn't shake terribly anytime you hit the brakes and didn't have 230,000 miles on it. And it also, I needed something that didn't require a fresh roll of duct tape every time I left my house. And so I started vehicle shopping, and my dad has an old, I guess it's a 93 Dodge pickup, the first gen Cummins, and that's the truck I learned to drive in. It's amazing it has a clutch left. But my brothers and I grew up in that, and so I guess you could say I grew up loving Dodge vehicles. And so when I was going to retire my car, I knew that I had to have a Dodge. I was a little disappointed when all you could find was Ram, but I kept my eyes peeled. And then the more I looked, the more emotional I got about retiring my poor little Durango. And I didn't realize that I would be so sad. I mean, it's a piece of steel. It doesn't love you back. But I think for me, it was an emotional experience because I'd spent thousands of miles in this car writing songs and going new places. And so I realized at that moment that I could not buy a new vehicle without writing the most country song I've ever written. A song about a truck. And so once I finished this song, I was able to retire the Dodge, and I went out and bought myself a 2018 Chevy Silverado and decided that heated seats were pretty nice, and someday maybe Dodge or Ram will take this song, and then I'll sell the Chevy and they'll give me a Dodge. And if that doesn't work out, then I'll change the lyrics to Ford or Chevy, whatever it takes. Well, I grew up in that old truck, chasing my dreams and making love. Took me high as I couldn't go. The secrets were made in the blacktop hole. When that old Dodge was new to me, took me to places I'd never seen. 100,000 miles of memories. When that old Dodge was new to me, I fell in love for the first time when I first crossed that county line. Chased the white lines coast to coast, and never failed to bring me home. When that old Dodge was new to me, took me to places I'd never seen. 200,000 miles of memories. When that old Dodge was new to me. She's not too much to look at now, parked behind this old house. It doesn't shine like I once knew, but she drives just fine and she still runs true. When that old Dodge was new to me, took me to places I'd never seen. 300,000 miles of memories. When that old Dodge was new to me. Some would say a piece of steel could never steal your heart, but for me it set me free. Never would have got this far. When that old Dodge was new to me, took me to places I'd never seen. 400,000 miles of memories. When that old Dodge was new to me. When that old Dodge was new to me. Oh, thank you so much. I think I'll play one more song and let you all have a little break, if that sounds good. I just want you to get up and thank everybody that puts on these shows at Society Hall, because they all do this on a volunteer basis. And isn't this a great place? Right here in Alamosa. So I'm just so happy to be here, and I'll play one of my favorite songs for you, and not to talk too much, but in the last couple years, I've gotten involved in a few different things. I've played music my whole life, and I've loved it. The arts have always been a huge thing, but growing up, my dad was a member of our search and rescue team, and so I always wanted to be on our SAR team and then never had the time, and I joined back in 2020 because I had the time. And it's been one of the coolest decisions that I've ever made because you get to help people. And sometimes you get to help dogs. And that's what I was doing last night. On top of Mount Hope was rescuing a 100-pound German Shepherd. Don't worry, I didn't carry it all by myself. Would not have ended well, but I say this because it's been such a neat experience, and I spend a lot more time in the mountains now. I grew up hiking 14ers and hiking to beautiful mountain lakes, and so I had to write a song about my very first 14er. And it was Mount Princeton that I decided to go up. And ever since then, I've been hooked, and I hike one more 14er than I did the year before, until I reached number 8, and I realized I should start back over at 1 because 9 is too many in the summer. I'm ambitious, but not quite that ambitious. And so I've got some friends here tonight from Alamosa Search and Rescue who came to see, and we met at Canyon City Hell Attack, the Canyon City Hell Attack base, where we were doing hover step training. And so it's pretty neat, all the people that you meet along the way. And I'm only telling you this story because I met our helicopter pilot who is listening online tonight because he couldn't be here. And you might be mad that I'm telling this story, but it's my favorite story to tell these days. But it was my very first helicopter ride. I guess it was a month ago, 2 months ago, and I was beside myself excited because it was something brand new and something very cool. And word had gotten around to the pilot that I was a musician. And once we got out of the helicopter and we had our debrief, I walked up and I said, "This was the coolest experience of my life. Thank you so much." And he says, "Well, good for you, but now are you a musician?" He had no idea the impact he'd made on me, that he just wanted to know if I was really a guitar player. Turns out he had 2 of my albums, and he'd seen me many times with Michael Martin Murphey, and the coolest thing I've heard in a long time is that he listens to my music while he fights fires. So just when you think you can't get much cooler. So I just want to send this out to my friend Kim, who's online because he put this song to one of our training videos. thank you so much, and we'll see you in maybe 10 minutes. Guess I should have had him lock the front doors just in case anybody wanted to leave. Just kidding. Thank you for staying around. Now, this has been such a wonderful evening for me. I hope you all are enjoying yourselves, and I hope you're enjoying Society Hall. I can't just say that enough because I just love this place and I really want to see it grow and be successful. And you being here helps that, so make sure you spread the word and tell your friends and keep coming to these great shows. This is another one of my favorite cover songs, and I did mention earlier I grew up around great songwriters and getting to see incredible performers, and when I was probably about 12 or 13, we got to open for the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and so I grew up on their music and have always loved their songs, and then Dirk Bentley brought that Seven Peaks Music Festival to my little town, and it was the first year and the only reason I went, because I'm not a big concert person, which is funny, I know, considering I'm an artist. But I don't like the crazy crowds and all that stuff. I love to sit in venues and listen to music, and so I wasn't going to go. But I saw that they had the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and so I bought my tickets just so I could see them. And I got there early so I could get to the front row and sing along, and turns out it was really easy to get to the front because nobody else was trying. And then I started singing along to their songs, and this one came about, and of course I'm singing at the top of my lungs, and I looked around and not another person my age knew this song. And it was at that moment that I realized that there was a lot of bad parenting going on. And I've decided to add this song to my show to kind of bring it back. And it was written by Jerry Jeff Walker, but made famous by the Nitty Gritty, and It's just another one of those great story songs, so I hope that most of you know this song. I knew a man Bojangles and he danced for you, and worn out shoes, silver hair, ragged shirt, and baggy pants. Slapped his leg instead. He said his name Bojangles and he danced a lick across the cell, and he grabbed his pants for a better stance, and he jumped so high. Dance for those at minstrel shows, county fair, throughout the South. And he spoke in tears of 15 years I was dogging him. Traveled about the dog up and died, up and died. After 20 years, he still grieves. He still grieves. He said, I dance now at every chance in honky tonks for drinks and tips, but most of the time is spent behind these county bars. 'Cause I drinks a bit. Shook his head, and as he shook his head, I heard someone ask him, please, please, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Dance. Won't you dance? Thank you, thank you. So this is a brand new song that I finished, I guess, a little bit earlier this year. And this came about because I think, in a little bit of a mood, and it's been an interesting few years, to say the very least. And I think every so often I just find myself in a rut, and sometimes I think that I should be a lot farther in my life with my career, and I feel like I haven't done anything. And you just get a little down. And when that happens, I realize that that's not healthy. And I start thinking about the good things, and I remind myself of all the things that I have gotten to do, and I suddenly start to feel a little more grateful and thankful. And it keeps me motivated to keep going down the road and to continue to chase this musical dream of mine. But it doesn't mean that those thoughts don't come back, and so sometimes I think of that as a stranger, kind of in the back of my mind telling me that, I'm not there yet, but I've kind of turned that into motivation. And so that's kind of what this song is about, is just continuing through that and not necessarily listening to that voice and knowing that you just have to keep going forward. So I don't know if any of you have been there, but if you have, the song is for you. Thank you so much. So I get asked an awful lot why I don't live in Nashville, and one of those reasons is that I just love living in Colorado, for one thing. But the trips that I have made, they usually end with all the Nashville folks telling me that my music is too heartfelt and then I have to change my look and lose my hat, and like, well, all my talent's in my hat, so I can't get rid of that. And so I just have not made the move yet, and I just feel from the bottom of my heart that this is the place that I need to be. This is where I feel inspired to write songs, and it doesn't mean that I don't go back and forth a little bit. I got to open for Clint Black a few years ago, and I'm assuming you know who Clint Black is? Great. When I got the news, I told my mom, and she goes, "For who?" And it kind of ruined it for me just a little bit. But while I was there, it was a fundraiser for the St. Jude Children's Hospital, and we raised, I think it was $80,000. It was a free concert, and the people of Cody, Wyoming really came and showed their support, so that was something really neat to be a part of. And I lucked out because Clint's booking agent was there, and it told me that if I ever wanted a career, to give him a call next time I was in Nashville. So as you can imagine, I went to Nashville and I gave him a call as soon as possible, and unfortunately I didn't get great news because it turns out they want you to be famous before they help you get famous. And so he gave me a list of things that I needed to do, and one of those was to co-write, because I live in the middle of nowhere, and there are no other songwriters, and so I write everything on my own. But I thought I could do that. I can write some songs with some folks. And then he told me I needed to get on some songwriter rounds, and so I made a few phone calls after that meeting and set up 3 rounds and 3 co-writes, and thought, well, there, now I'm on my way. And it was my last night in town, and I got to play at a bar called The Local with some hit songwriters who had their hits were from the late 80s and early 90s, so the good country music. And I was thinking to myself that if I could impress these guys, then I'd be making my way into the Nashville Songwriters Circle. And so I was beyond excited when I got done with my set, and all 3 of them came up and said, "We would love to write songs with you." And so I was beside myself excited, and they knew that I needed to get back home, and so that we scheduled all of our writes for the next morning. So I left the bar, it had to be about 11:30, and as soon as we got in the car and turned it on, the announcement warning us of that massive tornado that came through Nashville came over the radio. And so we left downtown within, I think it was 15 minutes of the tornado touching down. And so as you can imagine, the next morning, everything got canceled because people wanted to be with their families, which I totally understood because that's all I wanted to do, was be back home with my family. And so while I was waiting for my last cancellation, I sat on my friend's porch and I wrote this song, and as soon as I got the call, I got in my truck and drove back to the land of no tornadoes as fast as humanly possible. And so I guess I haven't been back since, but it's on my list to do this year, because it is a great place for music, and I found a little bit of inspiration out there. When I'm in Tennessee, tell me you're missing me. It's hard to see. This is where I'm supposed to be. When the storm blows through, you're not here. Makes me wanna leave when I'm in Tennessee. I guess the skies are just as blue, the grass is green, the road is true, but together we make mountains move. You said you'd wait, and so will I, but patience is running dry. I could be home by the morning light. When I'm in Tennessee, tell me you're missing me. It's hard to see. does it feel wrong when I know it's right? When I'm in Tennessee, tell me you're missing me. It's hard to see. This is where I'm supposed to be. When the storm blows through, you're not here. Makes me wanna leave when I'm in Tennessee. It's hard to love in a different state. It's more than just miles away. When I'm in Tennessee, tell me you're missing me. It's hard to see. This is where I'm supposed to be. When the storm blows through, you're not here. Makes me wanna leave when I'm in Tennessee. When I'm in Tennessee. So this next song, when my grandmother was around, she always had to know who I wrote these songs about, especially if it sounded like it was about a breakup. She wanted to know which boyfriend it was. Same with my brothers, which girlfriend broke your heart. And because unfortunately for my brothers growing up, their heartbreak was excellent songwriting material for me, as well as my own, and so I realized quickly that they stopped sharing that information with me. So for this song, I kind of had to dig deep in my pockets and see what I could remember. And so this song, in case anybody's wondering, is not about anybody in particular, but it's about a few happenings with friends of mine and a couple of my own experiences where you start dating someone and 2 weeks goes by and you kind of decide if you want to continue seeing this person or if it's just not for you. And a few of us have had the same experience where we got to that 2-week mark and we just weren't that interested, and then the other person was in love, ready to buy rings, and they didn't seem to get the hint when we said no. And so for me, it's really easy because if I want them to go away, I just write a song about them, and then they never talk to you again. I usually do it very nicely, though. Don't think I'm mean. Well, 1,000 miles ahead, come and gone. Still don't know what road I'm on. I can't get this car to move fast enough so I can lose you. Why can't you leave me alone? Being with you means on my own. Words you when I just don't belong. Treat me like your love dead and gone. One more stop for a take again, leaving fumes like memories in the past. Not wasting time, sitting here too long. I see the red dirt before the dawn. Why can't you leave me alone? Being with you means on my own. Words you and I just don't belong. Treat me like your love dead me alone, singing to me like an old sad song. The tears I cry, putting out the flames. It'll be a good day when I forget your name. Why can't you leave me alone? Being with you means on my own. Words you and I just don't belong. Treat me like your love, dead and gone. Why can't you leave me alone? Being with you means on my own. The words you and I just don't belong. Treat me like your love, dead and gone. I think I'm starting to realize why maybe I've been single for so long. They're all scared to get songs. Well, I promise I won't talk too much more about the last few years, but this song is very important to me. I started writing it, has to be 5 or 6 years ago now, and it was just not a good year for me. It seemed like everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong, and I just was very frustrated, and so I had written this chorus, and the thing is, when you're sad or when you're happy, those are the songs that you write. And so I was not in the right mindset to finish this song because I knew it was going to be sad if I finished it, and I did not need any more sad songs. And so I put it in my little shoebox of songwriting notes, which contains gum wrappers and napkins and anything that I had in my hand to write on. And I dug through there. A few years later, it was actually 2020, and I realized that it was time for me to finish that song, and it was time to be to have an uplifting tune, because that was a tough year for everybody in the year, a couple years after. I know it took a while for venues to come back, it took a while for people to want to come back out. And so for me, growing up in Buena Vista, and maybe for the same here for you folks, growing up around the mountains, that's kind of how I look at life. It's just a different series of mountains that you get over, and some are kind of the speed bumps, you know, that don't take long to get to the top, and other are like the 14ers. I feel like they might be the end of you by the time you get to the top. And for me, that was the entire year of 2020. It was just one big mountain, and I think we were all on that mountain together, working our way up slowly. And now that we are all on the other side of that mountain, I just want to thank you all one more time for being here, because I sure missed live audiences when I was singing into my cell phone. So thank you so much for being here. This song will be for you tonight, because isn't this fun? Won't have to worry about we get over the mountain, things will be fine. When we get over the mountain, there'll be plenty of time. When we get over the mountain, we won't be alone. When we get over the mountain, we'll finally be home. When we get over the mountain, things will be fine. When we get over the mountain, there'll be plenty of time. When we get over the mountain, we won't be alone. When we get over the mountain, we'll finally be home. Finally be Well, thank you so much. I think I have time for just a couple more, and then I'm sure you all are anxious to head home. I'll drive back to BV tonight. That's the best thing about this place, is it's just not that far away. But I thought I would tell you a little story about how I got started. And before I do that, most of you know who Michael Martin Murphey is, right? Great. Great. I've played a few shows and I've said that name and they say who, and it makes my story a lot less cool if you don't know who he is. So I always tell people, if you don't, then give him a quick Google. But when I was 9 years old, I had this dream of meeting Murph. I'd grown up going to Westfest and seeing all these shows, and I just always wanted to meet him. I thought he was just as cool as they come. And so every year for my birthday, I would ask my parents for tickets to go see Murphy and an evening of dancing horses at the National Western Stock Show. I don't know if anybody else has seen that, but it was my favorite thing I looked forward to every year. And so that's all I would ask for, was tickets to that show. And so, of course, we got to go every year. And I just loved every second. And then I think had to be 2001 that they finally opened up the little alleyway where the kids could go down and shake the hands of the riders. And so, of course, I had to go. And wouldn't you know, but here comes Mr. Murphy on Miss Wildfire. And I remember this so distinctly because it was like my dream coming true right before my eyes. And he rode over to me, had his fringy buckskin gloves on, and he reached out and he touched my hand. And I was like, I finally met Michael Martin Murphey. My whole dream had come true. And I was so happy. And little did I know that just a few months later, he would open a singing cowboy ranch in Nathrop, Colorado, which is just down the road from Buny. And little did I know that it would continue to get better, and he would join a board that my mother was on, and I would get to meet him finally by name at a meeting, and he played a little private concert, and he invited me out to sing at the Singing Cowboy Ranch. And at the time, I didn't know any cowboy songs, and so I worked on it for a solid month. He told me to learn I Want to Be a Cowboy Sweetheart and a couple other cowboy songs, and if I did, I could come and sing with him, which is crazy to think how many years ago that is now. But sure enough, I worked on it, and we went the 4th of July, 2001. My parents were so great because they tried to prepare me for the worst, if you will, that maybe he didn't remember, and it wasn't the end of the world if I didn't get to sing, but I did not have them anywhere in my mind. I was going to sing with Michael Martin Murphey. And so we got to the Cowboy Ranch, and I remember getting off the hay wagon and being very bold, and I just wish I had half of that confidence now. But I got off the wagon and looked at my parents, and I said, I will be back. And I made my way to the stage and got past all the fencing and the security, all the things that are supposed to keep people out. I just kind of worked my way back through there. And I walked right up to Merv, who was side stage, and I tapped him on the arm and I said, Mr. Murphy, I'm here to sing my cowboy songs. And I remember he kind of looked at me a little funny, like, where did this kid come from? And then it all came back to him, and it must have been my parents in the background waving at him. But we did a quick rehearsal of my Cowboy songs, and the last thing that I really remember from this event was that he turned around one more time and he looked right at me and he said, "Kid, this better be good." And I guess it wasn't too bad, because he invited my family and I back anytime we wanted that summer. And eventually I was playing at Westfest and playing at the Pikes Peak Center, and we got to go all sorts of great places. And fast forward a few years, and I got to open some pretty cool festivals and went off to college, and then my graduation gift was going on my very first professional tour. And I opened the show and played acoustic guitar for him, and then fast forward a couple more years, and I think he finally realized that I wasn't going anywhere. And so he finally said, "Well, do you just want to be my lead guitar player?" So of course I said yes. And so that's what I do now, is I chase my own career and I play lead guitar for Michael Martin Murphey. And I have to say, it's a lot of fun. And so the only thing left I have to say about that is, when you have a dream, keep chasing it, because it doesn't matter how old you are or where you are in your life. Dreams do come true. They just take a little while sometimes, but they are worth chasing. Well, she comes down from the Yellow Mountain on a dark flat land. She rides on a pony she named Wildfire. A whirlwind like her side on a cold Nebraskan night. They say she died one winter when there came an early snow, and the pony she named Wildfire busted down its song. In a blizzard she was lost. She ran all in wildfire. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I guess I'm really terrible at promoting myself, but for those of you that are interested, I do have some CDs and baseball hats and very limited sizes of t-shirts, but I do have some things back there that if you would like to take something home tonight, I will be back there right after the show, and if you'd like to come up and say hello, I would love nothing more than that. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here tonight. This has been such a great evening. Thank you to the folks at Society Hall for doing this. And I hope that to see you all again, maybe next year. And this is, I'm going to leave you with the song that got me started in all of this mess. So if you are not a fan of yodeling, just know that it's only 3.5 minutes. So please don't leave. I will not drag it out any longer. And please be sure to follow along on my social media pages. Even if you're not the world's biggest fan of my music, you should follow along anyways, because I have 2 really, really cute border collies, and they're basically all that I post about. So if you don't like dogs, then maybe we shouldn't be friends, but anyways, have a safe trip home tonight, and thank you so much for being here. I wanna be a cowboy sweetheart. I wanna learn to rope and ride. I wanna ride o'er the plains and the deserts out west of the Great Divide. And I wanna hear the coyotes singing as the sun sets in the west. I wanna be a cowboy sweetheart. That's the life I love the best. I need a ludio, I need a ludio, oh, a ludio, a ludio. I need a ludio, I need a ludio, oh, lady, oh, lady, oh, ludio. I wanna ride on fade, going at a run. I wanna feel the wind in my face, 1,000 miles from all those city lights, going at a cow in space. I wanna build on my head by the sleeping herd as the moon shines down from above. I wanna strum my guitar and ludio. That's the life that I love. I need a ludio, I need a ludio, oh, a ludio, a ludio. I need a ludio, I need a ludio, oh, lady, oh, lady, oh, ludio. I wanna be a cowboy sweetheart. I wanna learn to rope and ride. I wanna ride o'er the plains and the deserts out west of the Great Divide. And I wanna hear the coyotes singing as the sun sets in the west. I wanna be a cowboy sweetheart. That's the life I love the best. I need a ludio, I need a ludio, oh, a ludio, a ludio. I need a ludio, I need a ludio, oh, lady, oh, lady, oh, ludio. I need a Well, thank you so much. And nobody got up and ran. This is great. Perfect. Well, since nobody's running, and I have you seated, if you don't mind, I'll play you one more song. Is that okay? I was debating out which one to do, if I should do an uplifting one, but right now this is kind of on my mind. It was just the 4th of July, and normally I always get to play a concert on the 4th of July, and this is one of the first years that I did not. And so I spent an hour in my house just singing these songs, and so this one is fresh on my mind, and I just want to sing it all for you, and if you feel so inclined, please sing along. But I promise this is not a political speech. I just love our great country. I love everybody in it, and I want to say thank you to our men and women of the military, the men and women who serve, and our police and first responders, everybody who puts their life on the line every day for us, including our search and rescue members who get out there every day and do things. So this is for all of you, and as I said, please feel free to sing along. Oh, God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my own sweet home. God bless America, land that you're the most shy group of people. One time with me, please. Oh, God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside and guide through the night with light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my own sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. Thank you all so much. You have a great night.